Do you know what FUD is? No, not fudge. FUD.
Be very quiet.
Not that FUD either. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. This is when somebody uses fear tactics in order to push an agenda of theirs. Recently, I had a Twitter spat with an individual named Ed Lyman from the Union of Concerned Scientists, and I basically called him out on spreading FUD. And, of course, he ended up blocking me, but not after at least one interaction with him. FUD is something that the nuclear industry is extremely used to. There are a lot of people who have an anti-nuclear viewpoint that like to spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt whenever there is any sort of nuclear emergency. And of course, the news media eats this up because that brings in lots of clicks and views. Unfortunately, FUD can be really bad. Spreading of fear, uncertainty, and doubt can cause unwarranted anxiety in large populations, like with what's still happening in Fukushima, where people are afraid of things that they probably shouldn't be afraid of. While the radiation itself did not actually harm anybody from Fukushima, the fear and anxiety absolutely did. Fear and anxiety led to the relocation of large numbers of people from the Fukushima exclusion zone. This led to well over 1,000 early deaths. Unfortunately, this was mostly in individuals least harmed by radiation, the elderly. Additionally, when people spread FUD, they're spreading a lot of doubt. This leads people to mistrust the government and to mistrust the people who are actually experts. When I went through a lot of my courses when it came to radiological emergency response, this video was shown of Bill Nye talking during Fukushima.
Yeah, Bill, because of the problems of the loss of power at the Daiichi nuclear facility, we're hearing about this substance called cesium, which has been released. What's the significance of that?
Well, cesium is used to slow and control the nuclear reaction, the fission of these very large atoms of uranium. And so when the cesium can't get in there to slow things down, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter. Now, when things melt, and you see that big cloud, what looks to me like dust and steam, and then somebody reports that there's cesium in the air. If that report is true, that would indicate to me that the thing melted and exploded at some level or splattered into the air, driven by steam. You know, steam can carry things, can hold a lot of pressure.
Now, the first 45 seconds of that video was complete nuclear nonsense, made no sense at all and had no basis in fact. But there was more than just that. That video there showed his lack of expertise in the field of nuclear science. There are lots of other clips that Bill Nye has of speaking during the Fukushima accident, spreading a lot of fear. And unfortunately, Bill Nye wasn't the only one. The famous physicist and science communicator Michio Kaku also spread a lot of fear during the Fukushima accident.
If they didn't put that seawater in at the right moment, we would have lost northern Japan. That's how close we came to a national, worldwide tragedy.
It has been no secret that Dr. Kaku has been a very vocal anti-nuclear activist. During my interaction with the Union of Concerned Scientists, Dr. Lyman, people were really quick to point out that Dr. Lyman is a physicist, has a PhD in physics. Unfortunately, it's very common, especially in the media, for them to take people's credentials in one field and paint them as being experts in all sorts of other fields. Either Nye, Kaku, or Lyman are nuclear experts. When people are pointing at their credentials as being the reason why we should listen to these individuals, they are painting a false appeal to authority. Having the credentials of physicist or engineer in the case of Bill Nye does not automatically make it to where you're not a nuclear expert or you can't be a nuclear expert, but it doesn't automatically mean that you are a nuclear expert. So my challenge is to you, when you hear people speaking on the news media, make sure that you're really looking at what kind of credentials do they actually have, and are they just trying to spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt? And my recommendation to the news media is please start bringing in actual experts. And just because they're saying something that is not as fearful as other people, It doesn't mean that you need to bring in somebody else from the opposite end of the spectrum and paint them as being an actual expert. Being balanced in the scientific field does not mean you bring somebody in that goes against the entire field of science.